Hey guys, so today I wanted to show you a video of us working. We're going to go through and work some of the dogs. In the video we're just going to have a couple of them, but this is an exercise we're doing with all of our dogs today, and it's just a reiteration and a reconfirming of obedience under stress. So if the only place you guys ever get obedience out of your dogs is in a controlled environment, then you're probably pretty frustrated with your dog, because when obedience really matters is when there are things that are either distracting or stressful to the dog, and they still have to pay attention and do the obedience even when they're distracted or even when they're under stress. So this exercise is one that we use. It's kind of like a medium stress level for the dog. So maybe medium low, right? It's not really a low stress because we're working on 2x6s, and we're at the low point maybe 30 inches off the ground, at the high point maybe about 3.5 feet off the ground. And but I want you guys to watch as we work the dogs through, and watch the level of stress in them when they're asked to cross a beam. If your dogs haven't learned to cross a beam, you can get the Canine Academy online, and we show you how to teach the dogs how to do that. But even when they learn to cross the beam, a lot of times they just want to do that. They just want to cross the beam, right? When you tell them to go across. So what we're starting to do is work obedience into that, and we tell the dogs to wait halfway across the beam, and then we're going to either tell them to sit or to lay down. And they have to stop in the middle of the stress, right? So when you first start working a dog across the beam, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll kind of hesitate at the beginning. You'll get them out, and then they'll get right to maybe about the third or the 3/4 mark, the 2/3 or 3/4 mark down here, and they'll want to shoot across and get to the table, right? Some of them will hesitate and then just try and basically run across as fast as they can. Well, if they're still doing that, then they're not accepting the exercise because they're still too stressed out, right? So you want to get them to where they're crossing first, which you'll see most of these dogs are doing okay at that level. But then we're going to have them wait. Now it's going to make a difference whether they're going up and waiting, okay, so where their front paws are higher, their back paws are lower, or where they're going down and waiting. All of those things are going to make a difference. So we'll kind of talk you through this a little bit as we go, but just kind of see the exercise. That's the purpose behind it. Now, one of the things that prompted me to start videoing this is I was watching Maeve work with Hunter there, and she's really, really responsive to gestures, right? But the problem is a lot of times we don't even know we're gesturing, and a gesture is any kind of body movement, any kind of body language. And so he would start to lean forward like he's going to come around and receive her, and she would want to get out of position, right? But the dog's not to get out of position until they're told to get out of position, or give a very clear communication. So when you get ready to move and shift, tell her wait before you move, and she's not to move until you tell her to actually move. Does that make sense? So she was starting to come up off of her hocks, so she was in a sit all the way down. She was starting to lift up in anticipation, and then moving. Don't let her do that. Tell her, no, you sit and you wait until I tell you to go. So work on her on that side. Sheena, this way, turn. Nice and easy. So you see her back legs are slightly off. Good job, Maeve. Her back legs are slightly off here, so she's not perfectly lined up, so this adds a little bit of extra stress for her mounting onto the beam. Right here, baby. Good, go. So you see her shaking a little, now seat down. And this dog is super, super smart. She figures these exercises out really, really quick. I did her on these first 2 beams. She's already pretty much doing the exercise. Okay, when I step aside, I want to make sure I'm not pulling on the lead, so we have lots of slack here, as you can see. Easy. There you go. That's that stress, right? Do it right. So I'm showing her to come halfway down the beam, but this particular beam is a different texture than the others, so it's stressful to her. She doesn't like it. She's wanting to jump across. Give her little bumps forward. And I'm anticipating her trying to jump for it. Okay, now sitting in this position with the board angling down is more stressful. So they have to accept the exercise. This dog's very capable of doing this. What's happening is she's not been required to do it for a while, so if she just looks and goes, yeah, I don't like that, she wants to see if you're gonna make her do it. Okay, so and what we do normally is the first time they do that, we just take them back through and we make them do it again with a little bit of extra communication. So when we give our little corrections, you can't really see it probably too well on the camera, but her elbows were still about 2 inches off the beam. Giving as light a correction as I can. Flexing on a beam is a lot more difficult than sitting. So I'm using the lightest corrections I can to get her to respond. And the other thing is I want to make sure that my corrections aren't to the side where it's throwing her balance off. As much as possible, I want the corrections to be directly in line and vertical to the beam itself so that I'm not throwing her off balance. Slip in just a little bit. She doesn't get praised until she's actually in the position. So she's getting little bumps when she's told Plutz. So she was told Plutz in anticipation of being here. But what she's been doing is she did it the last rotation at the end of every table is I would tell her Plutz. And I give her enough time where I tell her to her right here so that she can process it and lay down where I want her to. And every time she's been going right to the end of the table. So what I did on these last two is when I tell her Plutz, I'm expecting her to try and go to the end of the table, but I'm still giving her enough time. And then right when she gets to the point where she's supposed to Plutz, that's when she gets the bump, okay? That way she gets communicated to that I'm gonna give you a specific period of time to obey that command, and then you're gonna get a bump for it. I don't want her going to the end of the table, I want her Plutzing where I tell her to Plutz. When you work with your dog though, you do have to, each dog has different reaction times, but you need to become familiar with your dog's reaction times and give the command in such a way that they can process and obey it, and when they end up down in the position, whatever that position is, they're where you want them to be. Don't wait until they're there to give the command, because they won't be able to process it in that time frame. They'll be beyond it by the time they process it. Something about these beams going up, it's a little stressful. She's avoiding it a little bit. Let's go. Come on. Good climb. Good climb. She's getting herself a little wonky. She's figuring it out. Good go. forward position, I give her more time to lay down because she's working the problem, right? So I give her more time when she's working on a beam, as long as she's trying to obey. Whereas when she's on a table or another flat surface that's real solid, I'm going to expect her to move into the position faster. You got it figured out? See the last beam. Make sure when you're giving your commands, give the command, pause, and then give a bump if you need to. Try not to get any of the dogs in the habits of needing that lead direction every time. So the pups get a little bit more lead direction because they're actually learning commands. But once they're at this stage, we should just give the verbal and they should do it. Just be aware of your bumps. I think you were a little behind, but it looked like you get a little bump with your hand when you pull her klutz. Give her the klutz command first. If she starts to go into it, she gets a little more time on the beam because it's harder and starts to lay down on. If she's on a table, it's going to be a little quicker. But I wait. If I tell her to klutz on the beam and she doesn't lay down, then I give her a bump, right? But I try and keep it straight in line with the beam. If she's out here and I tell her to lay down and she doesn't do it, she gets a harder, faster bump because this is not nearly as stressful, right? She's probably not going to fall off if she lays down quickly here. Whereas there, she's going to lay down and keep her balance as she's going down. So as long as she's working that problem, I'm more patient. But try not to get them in the habit where it's like klutz, seats. The puppies get a lot more of that lead direction, but even with the puppy, if you try to get away from it,